This movie is cursed! What's happening, film friends? Dave the Film Junkie here. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, and the Lost Movie, they should actually call it. You know what I feel sorry for the most? I mean, I feel sorry for Mamoa as well, especially what we're going to be talking about in this article right here. But James Wan, man, I really feel sorry for that guy because I don't think he's going to be in a difficult spot, especially if the actor strike doesn't end by the time this movie comes out. Everything's going to be asked on him. All the stuff. And man, I tell you what, we got a new Variety article now. Obviously, there's a lot of things that we have to take with a grain of salt. The writer of this article, of course, Tatiana Segal. Well, see what I did there? A little grace. Anyways, but yeah, I was like, yeah, you see her there, and then you kind of just go like, so some of this stuff you just kind of go, I don't. Are you doing your job? Let's get the first thing out of the way when it comes to this article, because it was what a lot of people were talking about on the timeline today on Twitter, is the fact that none of the Zack Snyder's Justice League actors will be returning for James Gunn's DCU. Duh! I mean, obviously we knew that Cavill and Affleck were not going to come back, and Fisher, of course, as well. But obviously it was up in the air when it came to Ezra and Gal. But I mean, I think it's like we kind of just, I already was like, yeah, Ezra ain't coming back after everything that's happened when it came to him and those controversies, which of course a lot of those were, if you actually do your research, a lot of them were, anyways, that's a whole other thing. But, when it came to Gal Gadot, obviously there was coming back and forth. I've been saying for this past year that she is definitely not coming back, mainly because she didn't support any of the movies that she cameoed in. So it just made a lot of sense. Just wanted to get that out of the way before we dive into this Variety article. That is quite a featured image right there. But yes, we have Aquaman 2 flooded with drama. Jason Momoa allegedly drunk on set, Amber Heard scenes cut, Elon Musk's letter to WB, and more. They're bringing Elon Musk into this all. It's actually pretty funny, and I'll point out what actually makes me laugh about this whole situation when it comes to bringing Elon Musk in. The waters are choppy. Womp womp. Good one. On the same day in mid-September that Warner Brothers dropped the trailer for its $215 million Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Just $215 million? Okay. Bullshit! Embarrassing documents from the Johnny Depp Amber Heard defamation trial surfaced on Reddit, creating a new headache for the studio behind the film. Depp fans paid the court fees for the release of documents from Heard's therapist, Dr. Don Hughes. The raw notes scribbled on a legal pad were part of last year's high-profile trial in which Depp largely prevailed. They described a hostile Aquaman set where an allegedly intoxicated Jason Momoa dressed like Depp and pushed to have Heard booted from the role of aquatic superhero Mira. Intoxicated Jason Momoa. I mean, guy likes his Guinness, likes his beer. But, intoxicated. Was he like stumbling? Was he like, was he doing all that? That's what I'm kind of wondering when it comes to that, because it's a very physical role, and it would be kind of dumb for Jason Momoa to show up super intoxicated when it comes to playing the role of Arthur Curry. Dressed like Johnny Depp. Have you seen how Jason Momoa dresses and how Johnny Depp dresses? Something tells me that this is an over-exaggeration when it comes to this. This is what's so... And it's sad because you have, obviously, the discourse that came when it came to the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard case, and I was sickened by it. I was absolutely sickened by it, because I'm like, how can you even back either one of these two people up? Because they just seem like they're so toxic, and they were toxic together. We heard recordings. We saw how the whole thing played out, and Amber Heard really just did not look good after all this. But so I could just see her saying something like this is absolutely ridiculous, because, yeah, they do kind of dress similar. Jason said he wanted to be fired, the notes say. Jason drunk, late on set, dressing like Johnny, has all the rings too. Okay, so apparently like he wanted her fired, which is very interesting too. I mean, I'm sure it was a very touchy subject when it came to all this stuff like that, but we got to remember that principal photography, when it came to this movie, it was like, I mean, it was a while ago. It definitely was a while ago, and I'm thinking like, well, maybe I don't know. To me, it just seems like Jason Momoa, this is the role that saved his life. Aquaman saved, well, not saved his life, but saved his career, I should say. He's even said it, expressed it, that, you know, he wasn't sure what was happening. And when he got cast as Aquaman, it saved him. And then, of course, he had $1 billion movie. So I'm just kind of going like, the unprofessionalism that she's actually saying here, it just, to me, does not seem legit when you see what's on the shoulders of Jason Momoa. A rep for Mamoa declined comment, but a DC spokesperson pushed back on Heard's characterization, saying Jason Momoa conducted himself in a professional manner at all times on the set of Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Others echoed the sentiment. Jason works his ass off, likes to have a beer once in a while like everyone, but doesn't show up drunk to set, says an insider who was on the London set in 2021, adding that the two stars got along and were seen joking together. And he isn't dressing like Johnny Depp. He has always dressed in the bohemian style. This is why I can't take her seriously. Her declined comment, of course, but a source close to the actress confirmed that the notes refer to the Aquaman 2 set and reflect a session from December 27, 2021. Another source close to the actress says her lawyers fought the release of the therapy notes, which had been subpoenaed by Depp's attorneys during discovery. Mamoa wasn't the only Aquaman principal to land in the crosshairs. The therapy session also painted a picture of Heard feeling unsupported by the film's director James Wan and treated like a pariah because of her high-profile legal battle with ex-husband. See, that's what I feel sorry for James Wan, because he has to get caught in this and he just wants to make a fucking movie. Come on! He raised his voice at me. Oh, shit. Oh, the director raised his voice. God forbid. I can't even post about Aquaman, made it like it was my fault. I said, I'm sorry, says huge notes in reference to Juan. Nobody could take selfies with me on set given blackout. Juan declined comment, of course. The DC spokesperson says, James is known for treating members of his cast and crew with the utmost respect and for fostering a positive, collaborative environment on set. The Aquaman films were no exception. Yeah, see, I mean, when you go against, it just, see, this is what I'm talking about. It just, when there's not a history of it, it's hard to take it seriously. And yet Heard was nearly fired, sources on both sides tell Variety. Following Aquaman's release in 2018, the studio and Wan decided to drop the actress from the sequel due to her lack of chemistry with Mamoa and sent a letter to her attorney, Carl Austin, informing him of its decision. Former DC Films boss Walter Hamada testified in the defamation trial about the issue of chemistry. Those sources underscore that the move to bounce Heard was unrelated to Depp and took place before he filed suit against the actress in 2019. Likewise, Mamoa was not involved in the decision-making. But another source pushed back on the lack of chemistry narrative, noting that Heard did a chemistry test with Mamoa before landing the role of Mira and beat out two other actresses who did a similar chemistry test, including Abby Lee. Ultimately, the studio never pulled the trigger on firing Heard because her former boyfriend, Elon Musk, had one of his litigators send a scorched earth letter to Warner Brothers threatening to burn the house down if the actress wasn't brought back for a sequel, says a source familiar with the behind-the-scenes battle. Warner Brothers caved and moved forward with Heard. Musk did not respond to the request for comment. Kind of makes you wonder if he will on, his platform that he has. But that's what made me laugh so much, because when you see the discourse when it comes to Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, and you see the people the people that are supporting Amber Heard, they don't like Elon Musk, like at all. They really don't. I've seen it. The same people that are totally supporting Amber Heard, they do not like Elon Musk. So they're gonna blow a fuse in their fucking heads when they read this, or when they have read this, and they're probably just not gonna say shit because, God forbid, can't say anything nice about Elon Musk. The drama is being rehashed at a time when Warner Brothers chiefs Pam Abdy and Mike DeLuca and DC Entertainment toppers James Gunn and Peter Safran are poised to close the book on the previous regime's superhero slate with the December 20th release of Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Since Abdy and DeLuca joined the studio in June of 2022, followed by Gunn and Safran's entrance 4 months later, the four have been saddled with DC duds they inherited, including this year's The Flash and Blue Beetle. Still, the Aquaman sequel held promise, considering that the character's first outing earned $1.15 billion worldwide, becoming the highest-grossing DC movie ever. But sources say the sequel has endured challenges outside of the Heard saga and was testing in the 60s before being recut in the summer of 2022. Despite the overhaul, the film continued to test in the 60s, prompting a new cut. The movie is like this echo of regimes, says one insider. It's the last remnant of the Snyderverse, and no one really wants to take ownership of it. Reshoots took place right up until this year's WGA strike in May. The onset sources disputes the idea that Aquaman 2 is troubled, noting that the film was on time, under budget, and needed only about a week of reshoots. Wow. I don't even know about that. And now this comes to the point where they talk about, where, the Snyderverse Justice League's not coming back, but then they also talk about a certain thing that differs from what is happening over at Disney. Meanwhile, there has been some confusion on the series front about who is the ultimate gatekeeper. Unlike the Marvel-Disney relationship, in which Marvel controls the creative process and Disney Plus merely releases the content, Max is creatively involved with the DC slate. Gunn and Safran don't enjoy the same autonomy as Marvel's Kevin Feige, a Max source says, in the collaboration between the Disney team and Max executives Sarah Aubrey and Casey Bloys has been seamless, including on the upcoming series, The Penguin, which was forced to shut down production, of course, during all that. Regardless, some on the lot are convinced that another company, most likely Universal, will buy Warner Bros. Within 2 years, making recent DC subplots and upheavals feel quaint. This again. Universal, what the hell? They're just going to swallow it up. All right, you got to look at the debt. I mean, there's debt on both sides. There's debt with Universal. There's debt with Warner Bros. Of course, Universal is probably getting better with their debt, when it comes to recent releases like Oppenheimer and, of course, the Fast and Furious franchise. But again, why would a company want to buy another company that has so much fucking debt? That's not happening. But hey, I could be wrong. I'm just going by the information I'm saying. But I would not be surprised if they would want to buy some of the IP that Warner Brothers has, and maybe they would want to buy some of the DC IP. I don't know. That's just... The bottom line is they need to get DC to work, whether Zaslav owns it, whether Brian Roberts owns it, whether somebody else owns it, says Light Sheds Rich Greenfield, a Wall Street analyst and venture capitalist. In a run-up to the Aquaman sequel, Warner Bros. Were outwardly back the film and hope for a China release like its Barbie, The Flash, and Shazam! Fear of the Gods received. After all, the first Aquaman earned nearly, of course, $300 million in China alone. For now, neither Mamoa or Heard will be promoting the film given the ongoing SAG-AFTRA strike, but if the strike ends soon, now that the WGA has come to terms, the stars will be junketing, making it difficult for Warner Bros. And Wan to avoid Heard's accusations for her role was significantly cut. At least 2 Heard scenes were cut from Aquaman 2, an action sequence that found Mira fighting Black Manta, and a love scene with Mamoa, according to individuals familiar with the production. Other evidence of friction is hiding in plain sight. This summer, Mamoa unfollowed Heard on Instagram. One source says he even blocked Heard from following him. Oh my God, social media drama. The horror. Turmoil aside, the sequel might just work at the box office. The first Aquaman also was ho-hum in early testing and found its footing in post-production. A studio source says Aquaman 2 is following a similar trajectory. Early tracking shows strong interest and puts the film's opening on par with the first Aquaman. Everybody's down on DC. No shit. But there's a chance, especially with the limited competition during the holiday season, that Aquaman could still play like gangbusters because of lack of product, says Jeff Brock, a box office analyst with exhibitor relations. Sometimes the right film at the right time is all you need. I like the confidence there, Jeff. I do. And I do hope that this movie actually does do gangbusters. I would love it to be a surprise hit. But it's kind of interesting because also what was talked about today when it came to like other articles that were, I guess, tacking on to this one right here is the fact that, yes, Jason Momoa has met about playing Lobo in the DCU. Finally! But then again, it's like, you know, we can't, I mean, we still remember, of course, that video of Mamoa walking away from a meeting at Warner Brothers and being super excited. And a lot of us were already assuming that it's nothing. I mean, and if he ends up showing up or being teased, of course, when it comes to Superman Legacy, cool. But it's just, it's all going to be interesting. But right now, this is what's happening. And this is not good. It's not good at all when it comes to Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. It's a little bit of a hit piece. It really is. It's a hit piece on the film star. It's crazy. And it sucks. He can't defend himself right now because he can't talk about the movie right now until the strike ends. And then you got James Wan, again, just caught in the crossfire. All he wanted to do was make a sequel to a movie, one of his most successful movie, of course, and he just wanted to make a sequel and then be done with it. And now he's stuck in all this. He is praying for the SAG-AFTRA strike to end so that he's just not the only one promoting this movie and has to answer to this bullshit. Let me know your thoughts about it down below, guys. What do you think about all this madness? This movie is absolutely cursed. Smash that like, thumbs up, hit that notification bell so you know when I'm doing this stuff. Subscribe, do all that. Love you. Talk to you later.